I also want to compliment the sponsor of the bill. You may not like his style, you may not agree with him, you may have your own personal opinions, but I believe he approached this legislation in a way that we should all approach legislation. He was open to compromise, he met with law enforcement, he met with members of your aisle, he made amendments in an attempt to try to find compromise. Doesn't mean you're going to agree, but to suggest that he did anything less than that is inappropriate. No one has suggested that every citizen that is a member of every union supports this legislation. However, the state PBA, the State Troopers Fraternal Association, the Former Troopers Association, and Non-Commissioned Officers Association all testified in favor of the bill because of the changes that were made. Constitutionally, every one of us as citizens have rights under the Constitution, but every one of those rights are limited. They are limited by definition. Assemblyman McKee and my friend John pointed out very clearly that the justices that supported this decision outlined that regulations would be appropriate. This bill creates regulations. To my friends on the other side of the aisle who suggested that we're being disingenuous, I apologize, we are not. Please don't think that. And I would ask you to reconsider your thoughts after we speak, and I'd be happy to talk to you privately. It is not disingenuous to look at other states that have had more liberal concealed carry and to look at evidence, facts, and stats. State-issued concealed carry state languages that are more liberal saw assaults and firearm increase by 9.5%, and homicides with firearms increased by 8.8%. Lax concealed carry laws have resulted in increased shootings by law enforcement, and data has conclusively proven time and time again that states with strong common sense gun laws have the lowest incidence on gun crime, that even some of your members acknowledge because of New Jersey's strict laws, we have less crime. The Supreme Court decision has made us change that. This legislation is being discussed today because of the United States Supreme Court decision. No other way about it. We are looking at those facts and data, and the CDC has indicated that the states with the lowest death rates due to guns are in this order: Hawaii, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and New York. It also has said that according to the Violence Policy Center, New Jersey had the lowest suicide rate in the year 2020, thanks in large part to tough gun and violence prevention laws. The 5 states with the highest incidence of road rage were right-to-carry states. New Jersey has among the lowest rates of armed road rage due to strict carry laws. So the regulations that are being put into place are done so to protect that Second Amendment in an honest effort. There is no stronger advocate for the Second Amendment that I have met, including many members of your caucus, than Joe Daniels. I have had many vigorous debates with Joe. Great conversations, some over lunch, some in this building. Joe is a staunch Second Amendment advocate. I am a believer in the Second Amendment. My family is gun owners. But I believe that with certain restrictions, we are not infringing on that right. Mr. Barranco, I appreciate your comments. And you pointed to our brave men and women in uniform that carry weapons. The reason why I say this is not disingenuous is because this legislation has a common sense approach to require training, because their training is second to none. We know people that buy pets, dogs. They don't train their dog. To think that they're going to get the training for this, every citizen, it will put us at risk. None of us should stand here and say that this will be unconstitutional. We don't know. I respect the Supreme Court. It doesn't mean I agree with every decision they make. I have a right, as an elected member of this office, to interpret those decisions and to try to provide clarity. That's what this legislation attempts to do. To the example of a neighbor 4 doors away, my heart goes out to them. Someone kicks in their door with their children present. This law does not change their Second Amendment right to have a gun to protect themselves and their household. No one has been a stauncher advocate from my friends from the Jewish community, including with those who I've worked with from Lakewood and the community that Pam and I represent in Cherry Hill. Days after gun violence prevention. As we were standing with Governor Murphy to talk about gun violence prevention, it was while there was a bomb threat to the JCC in Cherry Hill. Those facilities, those churches, those synagogues will have a right to determine if they want to allow their congregation to bring guns into their place of worship. I think they will choose not to. It doesn't prevent them from doing so. I think they will choose not to. And I just want to close with this one fact pattern. Assemblyman McKeon referenced it. Attorneys for a man accused of shooting a 9-year-old girl when he was robbed at an ATM in Houston said Thursday that he was only trying to defend himself when he fired at a man who had held him and his wife at gunpoint. The fact pattern went like this. Husband and wife go to take money out of an ATM. They went back to their car. A man robbed them of the money that they just removed from the ATM. The gentleman in Houston, in a right to carry state, had his gun with him. As the person who robbed him left, as traumatic as it was, he got out of his car and tried to retrieve his money, or in his mind, defend him and his wife. With his best effort, and whatever training he may have had, not theirs, he fired 4 shots. Never hit the robber, thought mistakenly that he got into a truck that was just a driver-by into the parking lot and shot a 9-year-old girl. She died. The fact pattern that you're talking about protecting is that ATM person, any one of us. And I agree with, I think it was Brian who said, most people are not going to choose to do this, because I will tell you, that person, that individual, he will have a hard time sleeping, because it was not his intention when he tried to defend him and his wife to just randomly fire and ultimately kill a 9-year-old girl. Those are facts. It is data. It is not disingenuous. It is not unconstitutional to try to figure out what the ramifications of this should be and what the regulations should be. We have a right to try to protect the public safety and at the same time walk the line to protect the Second Amendment. I applaud everybody whose efforts on both sides of the aisle tried to make this better. And Speaker, thank you for your time.